Hello, my name is McKenna Ginier, and today I'll be doing an overview of my research paper for Psych 312 Research Methods. The research paper is titled, Do Brain Tumors Affect Children's Cognition? As we have limited time, I am just doing a brief overview of each section, starting with the abstract. Research indicates that children's cognitive ability may be affected by brain tumors. The demographic group in this study consists of 24 men and women aged 20 to 49 who had received a brain tumor diagnosis and treatment within the last 5 years. The independent variable is brain tumors, and the dependent variable is cognitive function. A survey as well as written scale assessments were used to assess cognitive abilities. The next section serves as an introduction, providing details on brain tumors and their effects on cognition as well as societal concerns. Brain tumors are identified in many adolescents worldwide each year. Since brain masses were discovered, a lot has been learned, but less is known about how they may impact one's cognitive abilities. While treatment for brain tumors is important, it's also critical to understand how the mass may impact a person's neuropsychology. Since brain tumors can impact anyone at any time, society should be worried about this. Understanding that brain masses might affect cognitive development, which mostly takes place in the early years of life, is crucial, especially as it has been found that cognitive dysfunction is more common in adolescent brain tumor survivors. Cognitive abilities can be evaluated using tests both before and after treatment. If cognitive rehabilitation is determined to be required, help can be given. The only thing left to do is to make sure that these resources are being utilized appropriately. The literature review, which includes material on the subject from external resources such as research articles, journals, dissertations, and ebooks, will be our next discussion topic. Research on the effects of brain tumors on children's cognitive abilities is presented in each section of the literature review. The population group consists of kids because survivors of childhood brain tumors tend to have more cognitive and neuropsychological problems than survivors of any other adolescent cancer. Many of them discovered that the most common long-term effects of pediatric brain tumors are neurological, neuropsychological, and cognitive dysfunctions. Intellectual quotient assessments, cognitive tests, visual object recognition tests, neuropsychological tests, SPAN tests, and more were among the numerous measures used to identify neurocognitive dysfunction throughout the studies. ANOVA, one-sample t-test, descriptive statistics, and other methods were also employed. It was discovered that adolescents with brain tumors have a lower quality of life and are more likely to experience functional deficits. The next section we'll talk about is the method section, which includes details about the hypothetical study we conducted. So, for the hypothetical study, enrollment was open to participants aged 20 to 49 who had received a brain tumor diagnosis and treatment within the last 5 years. Self-efficacy tests, cognitive ability measures, and surveys were used to evaluate the individual's cognitive functioning skills. One-sample t-tests were used to determine whether these results should be considered significant. Following statistical analysis, the findings were reviewed. The participants, which contain details about those involved in this investigation, will be the topic of our next discussion. Eligible participants had to be between the ages of 20 and 49, have been diagnosed with a brain tumor, and have undergone the necessary treatment within the last 5 years. This age group was selected due to brain tumors being more prevalent in adults. 24 men and women were chosen from the Cleveland Clinic Gamma Knife Center, signed a written consent form, and the study was approved by the IRB. The study itself was conducted at Cleveland Clinic's Lerner Research Center. So we'll now go over the psychological tools that were utilized to evaluate these individuals' cognitive functioning abilities. So those who had a brain tumor as children were questioned if it had affected their cognitive performance in a single question survey called Do Brain Tumors Affect Children's Cognition? The frequency of cognitive deficits in adolescents who have survived brain tumors was measured using a 7-point Likert scale. The Cognitive Ability Scale from Psychological Scales was the scale utilized. Participants would score themselves on a scale of 0 to 5, with 5 representing the worst, using this scale, which consists of 21 statements. By calculating their total score and determining whether it falls within the normal range, one can evaluate these people's cognitive function. The final form utilized was the self-efficacy for learning form from psychological scales. For each of the 76 statements on the form, participants would rate themselves on a scale from 0 to 5, with 5 representing the most unfavorable result. This form's objective is to evaluate an individual's self-efficacy in learning. As part of their overall evaluation, participants were given paper versions of each of these tests to complete. SPSS was used to statistically evaluate these test data. Following data collection and analysis, it was concluded that the best method to ascertain whether brain tumors and the required therapy for them had affected cognition would be to perform a statistical analysis. So the next section we're going to talk about is the design section, which consists of what tools were used. Participants were subjected to descriptive statistics pertaining to their age. As we have limited time, I am only going to describe a few statistics. So the average age of the participants is given by the mean, which is X bar. What separates the population from the sample mean is called the standard error SE. The median M is a representation of the dataset's center score. Descriptive statistics from the survey data were used in a one-sample t-test. The standard error of the mean, SEM, quantifies how variable or dispersed sample means are around the population mean. The value proposed as a representative average for a population is known as a postulated mean. A histogram was made to show the frequency on the Likert scale survey. This shows that many people experience difficulties sometimes, often, usually, or always. A scatter plot was used to plot the Likert scale survey results versus the participants' ages. The graph indicates that cognitive deficits have been experienced by over half of patients with brain tumors between the ages of 20 and 49. The line graph displays the likelihood of cognitive issues in patients with brain tumors by gender. The graph indicates that women who have survived brain tumors are more likely than men to experience cognitive deficits. The procedures, which explains how the data was gathered and scored, is going to be the next discussion topic. So, procedures. Data from participants was collected after written consent forms were received. The demographic information collected included names, ages, and genders of the individuals. Following the collection of demographic data, Microsoft Excel was used to score the results. This allowed for statistical analysis where descriptive statistics were conducted. Upon the discovery of these descriptive statistics, a survey was carried out and the outcomes were scored. The survey data was subjected to descriptive statistics as well, which yielded insights into the dataset's overall distribution shape, variability, and central tendency. A one-sample t-test was performed after the descriptive statistics of both datasets were finished. All the graphs and statistical results are included in the results section, which we will discuss next. According to the results of age-related descriptive statistics, the participants' average age was X bar equals 30.08. The mean difference was SE equals 1.94. The median score was M equals 26.5, and there is more, but as I said, limited time. So, upon conducting the one-sample t-test, the found SEM was 0.32, which is the degree of variability of the sample means. The difference between the estimated and assumed values of a number and its standard error was t equals 0.13. The probability of obtaining a result as extreme or more extreme than observed was p-value equals 0.9. Which was deemed significant as the significance level used in the study was alpha equals 0.05. Most individuals scored 4 or higher on their Likert scale survey, indicating that brain tumors are very likely to impact children's cognitive abilities. Those in the 20 to 40 age range found that their brain tumors had impacted their cognitive abilities by a score of 4 or more. To find out how brain tumors impacted gender-specific cognition, another test was performed. This graph illustrates that women participated in the study at a higher rate than men. It was also found that women tend to experience more cognitive challenges than men. On the cognitive abilities scale, 19 out of 24 individuals received scores that were below the typical range. This suggests that since treatment, their cognitive abilities have declined. On the self-efficacy form, 20 of the 24 people who were evaluated had below average scores. Several people received scores between 3 and 5, indicating a deterioration in their self-efficacy for learning following their treatment. Next, we're going to discuss the discussion section. And this is the last section. The results suggested that a brain tumor raises a person's chance of experiencing cognitive deficits. Given that women have greater cognitive hurdles than males, gender also contributes. Furthermore, it was shown that many of these people had cognitive impairments and below average self-efficacy learning scores, which suggested cognitive and learning decline. This study can show society that the cognitive difficulties that follow treatment are growing in frequency along with brain tumors. And then that's everything that I have, and I thank you guys for listening.